Andy, welcome.
Hi,
Thanks,
thanks for having me.
thanks for agreeing to spend some time with me. You shared a post about a business exit that you thought you were on track for, and that never quite happened.
No, it didn't. There's no quite about it. It didn't happen.
So I wanted to dive into it because this hasn't ever been my position. I've never built a business with the intention to sell. Potentially in the future, that might be in my pipeline, but I'm very green around this whole subject area.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating to me and interesting to me to be allowed into somebody's world in this way. Um,
Okay.
so
I'm
I'm
happy.
probably going to have very beginner questions, and I trust in you and your answers and what you feel pulled to share as well.
Cool.
So I guess first of all, just give us some context around the business that you had,
Yeah.
and
I
a little bit of background to it.
yeah, okay, so I'll try to do this not too long. I started one of the first, let's see. I was a personal trainer because I was a Red Bull sponsored athlete. I'll go back to that. So I was a Red Bull sponsored athlete. I was racing all over the world, doing these things called adventure races. And people would ask me, how'd you get in such great shape? And I'm like, I don't know. I just work out and I do my thing. And they're like, I said I could show you. And so we'd go to the gym together and work out together. And then suddenly people were hiring me and paying me to be their personal trainer.
Mm,
And as I got further along in racing, I realized, okay, this has got a lifespan that's limited, right? I'm not doing this for the next 20 years. And
mm,
maybe personal training is a good avenue for me. And I'd had a little bit of nutrition experience. And so I started building a business. I started building a business. And then in 2004, I stopped racing and I was looking for how I was going to put my business online. And
mhm,
I, and this was before anyone knew what CrossFit was. Like
mm.
when I signed up to be an affiliate, we were the ninth in the world, the ninth,
Wow.
and there's 15,000 now. And
Yeah.
it's past its prime. It was really at its prime in 2018, 2017, like it was at its biggest, but it's still this huge. It changed the world in the way we train and the way we do things, but it was very different back in those days. And I started this gym and I built this community and it was amazing. I learned how to be a business owner. I learned how to do all these things as an entrepreneur that I had never done before. I opened up one gym and then I opened another gym. And I had started prior to opening the gym, I had started this thing I called the Patronic Fitness Challenge. And it was creating context for people's training. So they weren't just going into the gym to get bigger muscles. They were going into the gym because I created a game, and the game was it's like a decathlon. There were 10 events. Like in the gym, there were five events. One was a lat pull down of a third of your body weight. How many times could you do it? And then one was like a machine bench press. Again, a certain percentage of your body weight. How many times could you do it? And then at the track, we did another component of the track. And so one was a mile run for time, and one was a long jump or a high jump or something. I can't remember all the events, but I came up with a whole scoring system. And the winner was going to be the person that improved the most, not who was the fittest or the
Okay.
fastest. So I basically strong armed all my clients to do it. They all wanted to do it, but I charged them, I don't know. I think back in those days, I charged them probably $500 and 100 of it went to me. And then 400 went into the pool, the prize pool. And so I had
Right.
this, it was a big purse. There were
Mhm.
12 people, I think, that did the first one. And it just took on a life of its own. One of my clients actually hired another trainer to train him at the track so that he would win, and he didn't win.
That's a
So he was
competitive
working
fire.
with two of us. It was really funny. But it did exactly what I wanted it to do. We created this context. People were eating better. They were showing up. They were training on their own, not just with me 3 days a week.
Mm,
And so I was using this format from back in like 2002 for my business. And then I opened the gym and I brought it into the gym. And so we would do these events at least once a year. I think then it built up to twice a year and then three times a year. And we called them, I think we still called them the Toronto Fitness Challenge. I don't remember. But about, let's see, in 2010, my general manager and I were trying to figure out, okay, how do we make nutrition fun? How do we make like we didn't want to just require everyone, okay, now you've got to eat paleo, or now you got to be keto, or now you've got to do this thing. Like, how could we gamify this? And so we decided to add these six components to the Patronic Fitness Challenge that gave people points over the course of 6 or 8 weeks.
For
And
good behavior.
yeah, for good behavior. And we made it so that the good behavior was very self-generated. So we weren't the purveyors of what good behavior was. Like for sleep, and for instance,
Mhm.
okay, you get your points for the day if you get your sleep. Well, who decides how much sleep's the right amount of sleep? You do. You get
Yeah.
to decide. It should be a stretch for you. If you're getting 5 hours a night, maybe you go to 5 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. And that it's good because then it has people also tune into what is my body telling me? And the thirst then to educate themselves a little on understanding themselves rather than having everything spoon-fed.
Exactly, which is a big part of the coaching work that you do, that I do.
Mm.
Like I'm not here to spoon feed anyone. I'm not here to lead you along. You're the captain of the ship. You're the master of your fate. And I I can't, I'm not moving in with you. Like you've got to be able to lead yourself in your life. And that's what I've been really my mission from the very first time I was ever a trainer was I'm not your guide dog. I'm not putting a leash around you and guiding you through the gym. You have to show up and be present and create for yourself. And this thing took off like just inside my gym, like had this huge effect. We had people bring in when they dropped enough weight to change their size in their jeans or pants. Anybody that did that, we had them bring in a pair of jeans. We hung them from the rafters. And then at the end of the challenge, we donated them to the Goodwill. And there was like 50 sets of jeans hanging from the rafters in the gym. It was hilarious. And then we decided to create it in a way. We had a couple members who were software engineers, and they created our first website just accidentally. We were going to do it on a Google spreadsheet. And then we decided, okay, we got to be able to spread this to more gyms because it's so powerful. And so I went out to my CrossFit relationships. I had a lot of CrossFit relationships, and we brought it to the whole CrossFit world. And suddenly we went from 300 people in that challenge to 7,000 people in the next challenge, like all over the world. Like all these little teams, people would create teams and they do it. And this is before anybody really was like talking about challenges.
hmm We used to all in on this business. There was no idea of the longer term plan of I'm going to
No,
build something to
I had
execute.
no idea.
I,
No, I had no
I,
idea we had no idea what we were doing. This was just to serve people. This was just a
yeah.
service project to help people become better at their fitness. And then it was after we did it and created it, we're like, oh, this is this is like a thing. We could actually do this. Like we realized in like 2014, my general manager left the gym and became full-time running the Whole Life Challenge. And then in 2015, I sold the gym and I became full-time in the Whole Life Challenge.
Okay. So this,
And
would you say this is when it started to get like real,
yeah,
serious,
yeah,
more?
no, I don't know. It wasn't serious, but it was serious because I had put all my eggs in the basket of this is gonna do it. And I'd always, as an entrepreneur, I had always told my wife, I'm looking forward to the day where I can sell my what it is I'm doing, and you don't have to work like you've had to work over the last 15 or 20 years. She loves to work. Like she doesn't mind working, but I'd love to give her that gift of this is not necessary. We got it.
Yeah.
And so I put all my eggs in that basket. And by 20 by 2019, we were to the point we had 28,000 people in one challenge. That was our biggest challenge to date. And we were expecting every challenge we had grown about 20%. And so we were expecting 32,000 people or so in the January 2019 challenge. And instead of having 32,000 people, we had 15,000 people.
Okay.
The hell's going on? And we're a little company. We didn't have engineers to help us figure it out or data miners or people trying to. And the guess we made that I think is probably the right guess is people just caught on to challenges. Like the ice bucket challenge happened. Do you remember when that was this
Yeah, I
thing?
do remember that. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
everybody realized with a private Facebook group and inviting your friends, you could have a free challenge. It wasn't the same as what we did, but the idea, the concept was the same. And I think that was the big thing. That's what ate into our business. We were no longer the thing. And I thought, okay, I'll give myself 3 months. We'll figure it out. We'll fix this. We'll get these people back. And that was a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake in my mind to think that. And I should say mistake. It's not a mistake. It was perfect for giving me the result that I got. but it was
Yeah.
not a fun result because the result was this huge, I had this continued to have this huge expectation on the challenge being this exit that I was going to exit from for
Mhm.
$5 or $10 million.
So you
And
had got all the like the projections and everything
oh yeah,
all kind of lined up. Did you have people at this point like ready, like hungry to purchase? Did you have
we
buyers?
weren't that far along. No, we weren't. We were thinking we would just continue along at the 20% growth rate we were going, and we would go another, like we were thinking 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Because there was no reason to think it wasn't. Like
Yeah.
most businesses, if they're going to fail, they fail in the first 6 months,
But
but
then
then the next step is like 2 years. And so we had a very firmly established business that, by the way, is still going on.
yeah.
It didn't fail. It just morphed into not a big thing, not a big, huge sellable entity.
Yeah.
And I had a huge implosion. I just in May of that year, 2019, I had my first ever panic attack. And then I that opened up like this wormhole into a way of relating to life that I'd never experienced before. And I couldn't pull myself out. Like I have a master's degree in spiritual psychology. I've studied this and I've worked with people that have all kinds of issues. And I think part of me, in spite of having compassion and empathy, I'd never gone through anything like this before. And
Yeah.
so part of me still thought, like the Marine adventure racing part of me thought, yeah, just go to bed early tonight, take a couple aspirin, sleep it off, get up in the morning, you'll feel great and you'll just go for it.
So
And
was it
that just
denial?
doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's because you're a grounded guy, you have a huge amount of training and there's a consciousness to you.
Yeah,
You've done a lot of work on yourself and in your
yeah,
education. But I think what you're sharing is I hadn't had to go through something and it's very different doing this in theory and understanding it intellectually than actually feeling in every fucking cell of your body and
yeah,
the mind whirring away and not shutting off and having all the tools. But actually when that's your experience, it's a different beast.
totally.
And
Yeah,
you haven't gone into a huge amount of detail, but I can imagine when there's someone else involved, like someone who you care and love, and you have a vision for their life, not just yours, but like this wider impact of what this is going to offer us for a lifestyle.
yeah.
All of that must have been swirling around in your
Yeah, it's funny. Swirling around is a good description. I don't know that in the moment, I don't know that I really knew what was causing it. I was just a mess.
Mm,
At one point I was afraid to leave my house. It just affected me as this global shutdown. And I remember listening to a podcast then that talked about a guy who was getting through Navy SEAL training, like Hell Week during Navy SEAL training, and he talked about how he chunked down time. So he went from I don't know how I'm going to make it through the next 4 hours. I don't know how I'm going to make it through the next day or 4 hours, but I can do 15 minutes.
yeah.
So I'm going to focus. And that's what I did. We went on a little trip and I didn't know if I was going to be able to take the trip. It wasn't a little trip. It was a 2 week trip across country. And I just decided, okay, I'm going on the trip and I'm going to chunk down time. Like,
Mm,
okay, what can I do? 15 minutes. I can pack my bags. Okay, I can do that. And
mm.
now I can call a cab. Okay, I can do that. Okay, now I can get out of the cab and get myself to the gate. Okay, great. I can. And it was literally, it's weird thinking back to that time and how debilitated I was. Here's a guy there's really not much in the world of the physical world reality that I haven't done. And my mental health just took me to my knees.
That's not just what you're talking about now is not just a loss in terms of financially, I thought this was what was coming, and
Yeah.
lifestyle-wise, I thought this was what was coming. But there's an identity piece here as well that I'm
Oh
hearing
yeah. Yeah.
around who am I now if I'm on my
Yeah.
knees with this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't know then, but I've done a lot of work on this. My whole identity was built around achievement.
Mm,
And I never really looked at achievement in business as being important, but it's really not about business. It's about look at me. I'm worthy. I belong. I'm a member of the cool kids club.
mm,
And as soon as I didn't really believe that I was all those things. I
mm,
believed I had to prove that I was worthy of all those things. And I think back to college, I think back to high school even. I can see it really clearly as a path through my life, whether it's been physical or in the fitness world or the athletic world or in the musical world. If I remember a talent show in high school, I was this elite level trumpet, like practically professional trumpet player.
Yeah,
And
I can well imagine that, Andy, because I went onto your website. I was saying earlier, we spent a year together in a school with each other. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like on your website, there's Red Bull sponsored athlete, like all of these like credentials. And I'm like, well,
it's very weird, like all these
how
things,
do
and
I
I've
achieve
done them all at the highest level. It's crazy.
it?
And I remember that high school talent show where I thought, okay, my high school friends don't really know how good I am. Like, because high school band is not the place that you exhibit your skills as a trumpet player. And so I played in Notre Dame in the cathedral. I soloed in Notre Dame. I did all kinds of crazy, it's not crazy. I did all kinds of magnificent stuff. And I
Mm,
thought, okay, talent show, they're going to see me. They're going to really get to see me. And I had practiced this piece called the Carnival of Venice, and it was a showy piece for a trumpet player, like it showed off your skills. And it was awful. I was terrible, and it deeply affected me.
mm,
I played it off like it didn't.
yeah,
It was more proof that I wasn't worthy. It was more proof that I'm not a member of the club. It was more proof that when I was building this case for
mm,
myself. And the more I believed that story that I'm not worthy, the more driven I became to prove that I was.
yeah.
And that's what all the athletics was. That's what all the winning was. That's what all it was. Of course, I didn't see it. I just thought this is just who I am. It's like, how often do you hear people say that? This is just who I am. Like, yeah, well, it's not, but okay.
Do you feel now, looking back, because you know how Steve Jobs says we join the dots looking back, right? So do you feel now, when you look back, that this moment that brought you to your knees in business was absolutely meant to happen
Yeah,
because it was
absolutely.
a wake-up call to let's cut the fucking thread of this pattern that is showing up in your life. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going in this direction, buddy.
Yep, 100%. I hired my first coach that I didn't really recognize was a coach. She was a guide. She
Mm,
called herself a communications expert. Her company was called the Communication Arts Company. And this was in 1996.
mm,
And I've been drawn to this spiritual language and this light, for lack of a better word, whether that there's a truth deeper than anything that I'd ever experienced before. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to get it, but I knew that this woman had it. Her name was Mona, and I was going to be around it. And
mm,
I became her client in 1996, and I worked with her for on and off, more on than off, but for 12 years. And then she died in a car accident, like tragically.
mm.
And she'd always joked about how she's preparing us to be on our own, to be leaders of our own life, and she would not need her. And then all
Yeah,
of a sudden she's out.
yeah,
And that's when I answered the call to get my master's in spiritual psychology. But it's been this pursuit, and I think that the event, it was always a pursuit of something that I didn't think I needed, really. It was just interesting.
yeah. What was so I want to come back to this like time blocking
Hmm.
was a tool that was really practical for you to use in that moment to like this is a survival technique get
Yeah.
through. And I think there'll be people who are going through, whether it's to do with business exits or something else, there'll be people like in that position for themselves in their lives and grasping for what's the fucking tool. I just need to survive. It's not even about thriving. I just need some
Oh.
to get through this. So what else helped in like how did you go from 15 minutes, 15-minute blocks
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like being because I feel like this is a big gap, but I don't know if it did take a long time. Like how did you go from 15-minute blocks to being able to look back and see the lessons and the perfection in all of it? What was that like?
It's a good question. It just was a slow process. I think I'm still doing it. Like I came out of it enough to think about work again in right around 2020 when COVID came around. And I was good enough then to like, okay, I'm not time blocking anymore. But I don't, I connecting the dots has taken a long time. Like I've worked with coaches, I've don't stop like looking. And I've already had a lot of experience of looking, and it just either I'm a slow learner or it just takes time, or I don't think it has to take that much time, but it did for me. And I've often thought, God, with all my experience, I should be further along. This shouldn't affect me this way, and I shouldn't still be this blocked and stuck. And
That's the old pattern though, right?
yeah, yeah, it's a really old pattern,
That,
you know.
that's the same pattern of that thirst and drive, and that's the ambition.
I don't even know if the pattern was something I came into this life with from a
Yeah.
past life. I don't know what you believe around that stuff, but
Mhm.
I believe it's possible. I've done some plant medicine work and seen some things that are otherworldly about
Mm.
myself, about the universe and God and who we are. And there's such a level now, like that plant medicine stuff opened up some a broader context for me, but the work is here. And so I've had to teach my ego, like my false self. I think Eckhart Tolle calls it your pain body.
Yeah.
I've had to teach that part of me to just chill out. Okay, it's going to be okay. And let my spirit come in a way, like console me, comfort me. Like I think of the lyrics to Let It Be. If I can create that sort of environment inside of me, knowing that no matter what happens, I'm always going to be okay, then I'm always okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what happens. And shit, I don't know where that came from, but like that's what I've really been longing for my whole life.
Yeah.
And I've never had it. And now I can generate it. I can create it in a not as like a party trick, like it didn't,
Yeah.
but just it's there. And it's not there automatically. I actually have to do it. Like it's something I have to create. Just because you do it one day doesn't mean it sticks around.
I can't help but notice, Andy, I feel like I'm listening and I'm not listening because what I'm actually really listening to is there's a perfection about you.
Mm,
And I'm going to expand on what I mean by that because I don't mean perfect in 10 out of 10 perfect. Like, there's a perfection of this aspect of marine, this aspect of ambitious achiever, this aspect of like go-getter and drive. And then there's this incredible heart. There's
yeah.
this completely other aspect that's not even good English, completely other dimension going on here of soul and softness and tenderness. And for me, that's always stronger actually than this. But I can just see the perfection in it of like how many people have these different dimensions that they're navigating is not the right word, but trying to comprehend and allow all those parts of ourselves to coexist together into this like incredible being. And
Yeah.
none of it is wrong, none of it is better than the other, but there's just, I don't know if I've really ever come across anyone, definitely not many people, but I would maybe even go as far as anyone that has that mix of
Wow.
like strength in terms of physicality and mentality, but strength in terms of softness.
Thank you.
Really. So I've stopped listening to your story now because I was just like, wait, I'm seeing something about this guy that I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yeah, I ran from that for many years because I had this shame around this part, this
Yeah.
tearful, crying, grief filled, but also joyful and happy. I I I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic, didn't really have much of a relationship with him. And so I was always like that duckling, that story of the duckling that falls out of their nest when they're a little bird and they go around, are you my mom? Or is this my nest? Or is this my place? Where's my place? And I always felt like that. And I was taught by the Marines, like real
Yeah.
men don't cry. And I was taught, like I followed directions. And real men have muscles so that you go to the gym and you do the workouts. And somehow I was gifted with the ability to do stuff, to do that stuff. And it's not been until I'd embraced that softer side. I say because I was always curious about it. I think that's what brought me to USM. That's what drove me to my first coach, my first teacher. Some of the work I did with Carolyn and Carolyn Fryer Jones, like incredibly heart-centered work. But my heart didn't break open until this happened. And
Mm,
I didn't even know that was happening. I just was, it was awful. Would I do it again? I would go back and do it again because I know where I am now. But in the moment, I would have done anything to get out of it.
yeah.
I talked to two therapists while I was going through it, and they both, it was crazy. Completely different walks of life, completely different context. And both of them said, what you're going through is absolutely beautiful. Keep going. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, stop. Come on. I want this
Yeah,
to
it's
come out.
moments like, I want to punch you. Beautiful. Do you know the pain I'm in? Beautiful.
Yes. What do you know anyway?
You can say that over there. It's not happening to you. Yeah.
Exactly. It's easy for you to say. Exactly.
Do you feel like you can touch on like where they were, what they were seeing now for you?
Yeah, yeah. I shared some stories when I was in it of how I was seeing the, I was relating to the challenges of life that I took for granted before. Like my mom was the big one. Like seeing how my mom was able to create a reality for me and my sister in spite of my dad's alcoholism, in spite of him being absent, in spite of his philandering, in spite of his with them getting a divorce. I don't have a lot of bad memories of childhood.
Mm,
She had to take me and my sister to live in a neighbor's basement for a while because my dad wouldn't leave the house, and she just rolled with it.
mm,
And when I was going through this, I was able to see from her perspective, like how hard how just what, how hard must that have been?
mm.
And like this level of empathy came over me that was I'd never experienced anything like it before.
Yeah. It's almost like these moments give us fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Like I always use the expression blink and look again, and then suddenly our mom looks different and our
Yeah.
dad looks different. People who we've known all our life to be a certain way, there's something different that we're seeing.
Yeah.
We can appreciate. Do you feel like you still have that entrepreneurial spirit?
I do. Yeah, I do because I don't have the entrepreneurial spirit like I did. I'm not, I have to work on not getting hooked by the result, by the thing, the shiny object that's out there, whether it's the income or the number of clients and I say I have to work on it because the machinery that I think we all have is going to just pull us back to that egoic thinking no matter what we do. It doesn't just go, you can't have a breakthrough and then think that, okay, I'm done. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm over it now and I can move on with my life. Like it doesn't work that way. At least it doesn't for me. I
No, I don't think it does. I think you can catch it. You're aware of it before it was unconscious. The system
Right.
is operating you, and now there's an awareness.
And now I create it. Like every morning I get up and I have a whole set of things that I do. And yeah, I don't have to do it. This morning I didn't do any of them because I took my wife to the airport and then I had an early morning meeting. So I don't feel like I'm dependent on them.
Mm,
But when I set those things up into motion in the mornings, I have a document that I read on. You're familiar with Steve Hardison's.
yeah.
So I have a document that I read, and man, it is so powerful for me because it's connected. It's not just words. It's not just a set of mantras.
Yeah,
And
people, can you expand on that a little? Because I think sometimes when people hear, I know the document that you're talking about, I think sometimes people do hear it as a mantra and they
yeah,
don't have this understanding that we can question the thoughts and ideas that we're having about ourselves, and we don't have to hang on to those ones. And there is a way of intentionally creating. And I think people hear affirmations and mantras and think, that's not true because this is
right,
who I am. So can
right,
you just
right.
expand a little bit on like that?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I went through a long phase. Really, that document process came out of USM. The
Mm,
USM has you create a ideal scene. And the ideal scene is basically what you're writing. I am, and then dot, and here are the ways. But I think Steve Hardison has created this way of doing it that was connected to self-forgiveness
Mm.
that was really powerful for me because there's something that exists once you get past all of the judgments, all of the misunderstandings and the self-flagellation and the self-beating and the I should have done this better and I shouldn't have screwed this up and I shouldn't be this way and why am I so insecure and why is it not always working out for me and why are my friends lucky? Why did they get to sell their business and I didn't get to sell mine? Like all these victim this all this language when that I relate to as like this cloud, this confused, it's not even confused. It thinks it's not confused, but it really is confused. It's this confused cloud that masks who you really are. And it's a, like I keep saying, it's a machine that just, it's just
Mhm.
spitting us out. And the process of creating these mantras or this document involves first going through a big process of self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for judging myself as I'm not lovable. I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy. I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that I am not enough. I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that I should have done it differently than I did. And
And did that process in itself, Andy, did that process take some time to
oh
actually
yeah,
connect to and embody? And because I can imagine we have these strong ideas about ourselves and we try to speak out, I forgive myself for judging myself as, but
people don't even see it. It's like, what? You're not what you like there's no, and I shouldn't say people. I didn't see it. I didn't really get it. It took years for me to really understand the power of the forgiveness and that the magic is not in forgiveness of anybody else. The magic is in forgiveness of myself
Mm.
because it's all of it is really a reflection of me. When I'm judging somebody else, it's a reflection of something going on inside of me. And I would say, even up to this document process that I've added to my morning routine is really something that I've become uber committed to just in the last 2 months. Memorizing it, I'm making sure that it's like in, like I've even, some of the things that I've said today are like quotes out of my document that are just coming out of me because now I'm committed to this memory of it.
Yeah.
And it's just incredibly, because I've done the work around the forgiveness, each part, each mantra I've got, it takes me 4 minutes to read the whole, to recite the whole thing. It's not short. And each part I've gone through a process of forgiveness to get to. And because I've done that work and I understand the significance, it just drops me into my heart like really fast. It doesn't always. Sometimes, some days I do it like kind of when you go through the motions, you're through
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
motions. That
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But I've also created another way of saying it to myself and recording it. So I'll record it from the voice of God.
Mm.
So I'll play God and I'll look at my document. I'll go, the first part, the first thing is I am loved. And I'll start off, Andy, this is God. Listen, dude,
Mm.
what is this thing that you don't think you're loved? You are so loved. I've always loved you from the moment you're like, see, it just drops me right into my heart
Yeah.
immediately. It's
Yeah.
so weird how that happens. And because it sounds when I do that so ludicrous to think that I could ever believe that I wasn't loved.
Yeah. And I love that God calls you dude.
It might not always come out that way, but that's how it just did.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I feel the connection that you have to the process. And I really th thank you for sharing it with us.
Mhm.
Thank you for letting us in. I feel like I've got so many more questions to ask now.
We can do it again. We can do it again. We don't have to limit it to one time.
I would actually really love it. I feel like we're cracking open some really juicy like conversations that would serve me, that would serve you, that would serve many other people
Yeah.
listening as well. And I would love to dive in deeper with this because we're scratching the surface. I know if I was me like 8 years ago when I was just entering the coaching profession, I would have so many questions about what you're saying, and I would be going, I don't get it. I don't
Right.
get it. But I would be seeing something is occurring for that guy, and I want to get it.
Right.
So like I'd be knocking on the door and I would be curious, still from my head, still intellectually curious.
Yes,
Not
yes,
even
yes.
anywhere close to where you are right now.
And I was that person too. I
Yeah,
was that
right.
totally
So,
that person too. Intellectually curious. I want that. What is that?
yeah.
And I've had imposter syndrome. Like I thought I'd never have that. I can never be like my teachers. I don't even know if I have it now. I've got whatever I got. Like I don't compare it.
My one of my first ever mentors, he said to me, "We're always halfway up the infinite ladder of learning." And I was like,
Pretty funny.
fuck. But that was relaxing. It's like, if I'm always halfway up, why the hell am I trying to get to the top so fast?
Yeah.
And we can
I was on a call the other day and they talked about one of the people that I was on the call with is a mountaineer. And I've done mountaineer, of course, I've done mountaineering. But they're like, why is everybody so in a hurry to bag peaks to get to the top? Because when you get to the top, the journey's over and the joy is in the journey.
yeah, exactly. And the next best bit is when you get down to the bottom and you throw your boots off and your feet can
Yeah,
breathe.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You can't lose all your energy on the way up because you got a long way down.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's plan to do it another time and
yeah.
you can formulate some more questions because I actually love doing this. It helps. I'm one of those people who's better in the present moment with questions being asked to me than I'm trying to figure out for myself,
I
like
hate.
what's going on.
I
Like,
am too.
so I really appreciate your questions. I appreciate your beingness. Like you created this environment that felt like a place where I could actually open up the way I did because I don't always do that. I appreciate you. Thank you.
No, you're so welcome. I've loved it, every single minute of it. So my commitment to you is we will make this happen again and we'll do more
Okay,
of this. I love dialogue as well. It's so much
cool.
more fun than monologue.
Yes, yes, so much more. ChatGPT only goes so far.
Yeah. Andy, thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
All right, we'll speak soon.
That sounds good. Bye
Bye.
bye.